President Cyril Ramaphosa is under pressure to take action against Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordan. The public protector says Gordhan violated the Constitution. This when he allowed the so-called rogue unit at SARS to be established. On Friday, Mkhwebane also said Gordhan had lied to Parliament about meeting the Guptas. He has refuted her findings, accusing her of bias. Gordhan is expected to file an urgent court application on the matter. So for more on this, I'm joined now by political analyst Professor Lisiba Tefo from our Pretoria studios. Professor Lisiba, thanks a lot for joining us this evening on Newsnight. The big question really, is the president actually under pressure? Are we making much about a review that will be coming anyways from Gordhan's team?
Under pressure might be too strong a word to use. Or expression to use. However, it is important that he seen to be taking action, but appropriate action, legally informed. Because looking at it, for me, it's not so much about Gordhan, but more about him. But I think the law is on his side. All that he has to do is to allow Gordhan to go on review, or also to apply for the interdict, so that there is no need for him to at least act on the recommendations.
Well, I mean, right now...
Both of them, Gordhan...
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, right now, Professor, when we're looking at it, it appears as though there is an anticipation for this urgent application to be filed, allowing for the, the review of the findings of the public protector in itself. So basically, all it is the president sitting by and waiting for the law to take its course before he can even make any form of commentary on the nature of whether or not he's supposed to even take remedial action, or even if he's supposed to consider some of those findings.
That is the most prudent thing to do as of now. If I were just to compound this discussion a little bit, I would say to you, if he were to act and suspend or ask the men to step aside, as the phrase goes of late, right? And we know for a fact after that, then he too, when an adverse finding is made against him, the speaker might be requested that he too should step aside. So he would have set a precedent which I think his detractors are laying him and putting a trap, hoping that he would fall into. And I think he has good advice, and its prudence tells me, stay put, don't act, let the man take the matter on review, let the man interdict you from at least doing that. And I have no doubt the two of them possibly are conversing on this subject as things stand.
Well, obviously, on the other side of it, if no word comes in from the president, it appears as though Pravin Gordan has got a certain arrogance about it when it comes to the nature of this finding by the public protector. Or the question will be, which has been lamented, I'm sure, by the EFF, is that who really is in power here and who really is making the decisions, and exactly what kind of influence does Minister Pravin Gordan have?
Well, the word arrogant is being used, and I'm not sure if it is appropriately used. But that notwithstanding, on my side, I think that there is a bit of obsession with Minister Gordhan. Look, at the end of the day, he's no angel, but he's one, in my view, of the 80 members, capable ministers that I would not have left out. And then, having said that, you look at it, I think one of the last lines that really struck me is that the public protector seemed to have said, or is saying to us, he's still investigating him further. The speed and haste at which these matters pertaining to Gordhan have been addressed is also leaving much to be desired. And incidentally, for those who might have forgotten, this matter were ventilated by a few courts previously, yet they are still with us. The findings were not adverse. Lastly, that what I think there is some sort of obsession, and it has more to do not so much with Gordhan as to with the president himself, is that suddenly people are questioning the academic qualifications of Gordhan. Really? And then we should say, oh no, the man is arrogant, the man is untouchable, is a de facto and not the jure president of the Republic of South Africa. I wouldn't go along with that narrative.
Let's talk a little bit about this obsession. Do you think the public protector is obsessed with Pravin Gordan? And if so, where does the obsession lead to? In other words, is she being used by the detractors of President Cyril Ramaphosa to perhaps frustrate the powers at play at the moment?
Look, I really respect the office of the public protector and even the individual herself. And I would say, if perchance he's not fit and proper to hold that office, let due process be followed. But the more we hammer her in the office, the more difficult we make it, that office, for anybody who's going to step in, that it should enjoy the respect that ought to be bestowed upon it. So I'm treading on this one with great circumspection. But I'm saying also, maybe she should also look deep into herself, that am I moving in at a speed that others may begin to suspect that there is more into this matter than it is the case. Indeed, are people perhaps justified in saying, this matter were ventilated, whatever technicalities I may want to use in order to pursue this man or the matters pertaining to Gordhan? Wouldn't they be justified that there are other cases where resources and time ought to have been deployed and we heard that they weren't enough? But when it comes to this matter in particular, everything and anybody is available to dig as deep as they possibly could in order to find an adverse, at least, determination.
It sounds as though you're appreciating the fact that her image at this state, if there actually is indeed, following this review in terms of the public protector finding, that there is that opportunity for her to be seen as having a separate agenda. And if that is so, then the office of the public protector as a whole, not even regarding Busisiwe Mkhwebane, as a whole, the office of the public protector as well as its mandate comes under heavily scrutiny.
It is bordering on that. It is bordering on that. And if there is a way to do these things differently, I would urge you to look at that. Hence, I'm saying the space at which the matters pertaining to Gordhan have been handled and the deployment of resources that are supposedly minimal in this regard may tomorrow come back to haunt her. That why cry foul when yesterday you seem to have had the energy and the resources to do all these things. But I'm still careful to say, let's respect her and her office, and if she's found wanting, there is a book on the shelf, let's follow that book rather than to besmirch her name, vilify, renounce and denounce her.
Professor Tiff, we're going to leave it here, but thanks a lot for joining us this evening on Newsnight, shedding some light in terms of what should happen to the president. Is the president indeed under pressure to take remedial action against Pravin Gordan, Minister Pravin Gordan at this moment in time, or should we just allow the law to take its course? But